here in San Francisco. My name is Maria, and I'm standing here with Joe Xing. Hello, thank you for taking this time to have this little chat with me. Can you, for starters, briefly introduce yourself and the company you are working at?
Yeah, hi, thanks for having me here. Yeah, my name is Joe Xing. I'm a director of artificial intelligence for the company called Borgward. So maybe a little bit brief introduction about Borgward. So Borgward is actually a car brand, originated from Germany. It's about 100 years ago in history, and it got recently acquired by a Chinese capital, BAIC group before, and then it has a product. The major market is actually in China. They sold probably 100,000 units, more than 100,000 units in China. And there's some, other markets in the European, parts. So that's briefly about the company. And we're a small team here in the Silicon Valley. So we are the R&D or research development team, specialized in AI, artificial intelligence software for this, car OEM. It's also introduction about myself, right? Okay, so I introduced the company. Now, a bit introduction about myself. So I actually have a background in physics. So I have a PhD in physics. I was doing particle physics before at CERN in at the border of France and Switzerland. And then I was doing I was doing a staff scientist at the Stanford University about 3 years. I was doing all data analysis related job. And then all of a sudden I switched to more like the car domain, the automotive domain. I joined a startup company, an emerging OEM. They call it NEO before. I was in the AI team, data science team in the NEO. And then after that, I was doing my own startup, called Athena Robotics, which is specializing in the decision making for self-driving cars. All these, So basically, for the past few years, my research interest is always on the behavior modeling, behavior prediction, decision making for self-driving cars. So yeah, that's briefly about me. Thanks.
Okay. So what fascinates you about autonomous cars? Because you said before you were working with physics and everything like this. And what made you switch to autonomous driving?
Yeah, it's my personal opinion is like, the self-driving cars basically, everybody knows is going to change the transportation world, right? In the future, the futuristic transportations, right? Where you don't have human driving the cars, it's going to be very efficient, in many effects, right? So that's why, it's a strong motivation that we, I think all the people right in this field, we're working very hard to make this thing, the self-driving car really happen. So.
Yeah, you presented a case study just now about behavior learning and safety platform for self-driving cars. Can you just give us some insight about it?
Yeah, sure. So as I said, I've been doing this for the past few years. Basically, we're focusing on one component, right? We call it behavior modeling. So it includes two parts. Basically, the learning of the behaviors, and then we do the prediction of the behaviors. And why that's so important, right? As I said in my talk, basically, my own, I like to use a metaphor, right? I call it 5 senses versus 1 brain. So we have, as you all know, we have a lot of sensors for self-driving cars, right? We have, cameras, optical wavelengths. We have LiDAR, near infrared, right? We have, other stuff like radar. So all people are doing is basically, they're trying to do the perception, we call it perception, perceive the world, building the world model, right? So what is around me, object detections, and where am I, the localization mapping. So that's basically, I use metaphor of 5 senses. So it's just like our humans' eyes, ears, like we can see, we can hear, we know where we are. And then once, assuming you have all that done, right? Like everything is 100% working, what is the next, right? The next is still, a big question is, how do I drive? If I'm a self-driving car, I'm a robot, how do I drive? And in order to figure out how do I drive, I need a component which basically tells me like why everybody's behaving like that, right? Like a guy is crossing the street, all of a sudden that guy starts running. And for humans, it's very easy, it's rationalized because, oh, maybe the guy sees the green light flashing, which means, okay, it's time to run, right? So that's one typical example for people, to rationalize. But for computers, for softwares, it's kind of very difficult for them right now to be equipped with such, capabilities. That's why we're focusing in this domain. We want to model all the behaviors on the road, and we want to teach computers to learn this behavior, and also thus make predictions about like what everybody is going to do next. So that's why we're doing this, focusing on this specific field for self-driving cars.
And will self-driving cars be safer that way? I mean, that is the ultimate goal, that we don't have this many accidents and crashes. So will this make roads safer?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's talking about like, self-driving car, commercializing the self-driving car, right? What is, the barrier right now is actually the safety. Everybody's talking about safety. And when we speak about safety, basically it's all talking about collisions, crashes, collisions, everything like this. And nobody yet in the market has commercialized, that you can't pull out your phone tap on some apps, right? You can order a self-driving car,
Yes.
right? It's not happening yet because of this safety issue, and that's actually giving us a strong motivation to do this, predictions, because a prediction basically tells you a 1 to 2 seconds, in advance, like what is going to happen next, like what are the risks, what are the possible collisions that might happen in the next 1 to 2 seconds. That is critical for you to avoid, those collisions and make a safe car, self-driving car.
Okay, and like you said, your company was headquartered in Germany and is now in the Silicon Valley. Can you give us, or can you share some insights of the differences and similarities of the 3 markets like Europe, USA, and Asia, for example?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm not a marketing guy, of course, obviously. But our previous company has some global voice, like one voice about market. As I said, there's 100,000 in the majority of the market, which is the China market, right? They're making more like a premium SUVs, like a BX5, BX7 in the China market, and then they're trying to now expand to the European market. I think they sell some car in Luxembourg, some, also some in Germany, if I, get it correctly. And they're also trying to do it globally, maybe perhaps in the U.S. Right? According to the management system, it was talking about like 3 years enter the U.S. market, something like that before. That's what I heard from the company.
Okay, good.
Company voice, yeah.
Company voice. Then. Let's take a look into the future. Will we drive manually in, let's say, 20 years? And does this take away the fun in driving? Because right now you can rent a Porsche or buy a Porsche and just cruise through Germany or through the American states and have fun with your car.
Yeah, I mean, it depends, right? Personally, I like driving, right? But think about it this way, right? When you don't have to drive, when you have self-driving car, fully self-driving car, right? You can do a lot of other stuff on the car, right? You can even sleep, relax, have a phone meeting, right? Play some games or watch some YouTube videos, right? You can do all this kind of stuff. So basically, it's more like you have more time, right? You don't have more than 24 hours. It seems like, right? Because all this driving time basically got saved. So I think that's one way, a positive way to look at this thing,
And the last question, because this conference has a concept of interaction and networking. We have, of course, your keynotes, and then we have solution studies from the business partners, and networking breaks, and these challenger peers and world cafes. How do you like the different formats?
I like it very well. I mean, I went to the in the expo session. I look at those demos. It seems like it's very good to look at what other people, right, in the field are doing, right? I see a lot of very impressive demos. Doing different traffic scenes, some of the simulation platform tools, right? They have realistic physics model here. I think those are very helpful for the other people like us, for example, the behavior modeling teams in this field. I think it's very useful for people to connect. And then plus, my personal opinion is this self-driving car project, let's call it project, right? It's a collaborative force, right? Effort, right? And everybody needs to contribute to make this thing happen. It's more like fundamental science, right? Everybody globally has to contribute in this project.
Yeah, this is what we try to achieve, to form a community here of autonomous driving experts that can collaborate.
Yeah, exactly.
Wonderful. Then thank you for this quick talk and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.